When we talk about sea level rise, it often feels like this distant problem, something for future generations to figure out. But what if the point of no return is happening right now? The latest science is showing us that we are getting dangerously close to tipping points that could reshape our world far sooner and way more dramatically than most of us realize.
Just look at this number, 15 meters. That's nearly 50 feet. To give you a sense of what that means, that's high enough to swallow a 5-story building. And this isn't some sci-fi scenario. It's what leading climate scientists are saying is possible by the year 2300. So the real question is, what would a world like that actually look like?
Well, it means this: enough water to completely wipe many of the world's largest cities right off the map. We're talking about a future that is just fundamentally different and a lot more dangerous than the world we live in now, especially when you consider that about 1 billion people live less than 10 meters above sea level. Okay, so to really get a handle on this threat, we have to start with the problem of acceleration. See, it's not just about how much the seas are going to rise, it's about how fast it's all happening. This chart really gets to the heart of the problem: a few millimeters per year. I know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but just look at the trend. The rate of sea level rise has more than doubled in just a couple of decades. And if that acceleration keeps up, we could be looking at 10 millimeters per year by the end of the century, and that is where we run into a major, major problem. And this is where scientists start talking about this really critical threshold they call unadaptable rise. Basically, once that rate climbs past about 7 to 10 millimeters a year, our ability to just build our way out of the problem, it breaks down. I mean, can you imagine trying to raise seawalls and coastal defenses to keep up with a full meter of sea level rise every single century? The engineering challenge, the cost, it just becomes almost impossible. This quote, I think, just illustrates the danger perfectly. The problem unfolds so slowly, over decades and centuries, way beyond a typical political or budget cycle. So we're taking these small, seemingly manageable steps without fully realizing that we're getting closer and closer to a point of no return. So you might be wondering, how on earth can scientists predict a future like this? Well, the answer isn't in some computer model or a crystal ball. It's written in our planet's own history. Let's take a look at the clues from Earth's past. This timeline is, well, it's a pretty stark warning. Let's look at that point from 125,000 years ago. Global temperatures then were similar to what they are today, but sea levels, they were 6 to 9 meters higher. Now, go even further back, 3 million years ago. CO2 levels were about what they are for us now, and sea levels were a staggering 10 to 20 meters higher. The planet's past is basically showing us the long-term destination for the climate we're creating right now. But what if the biggest mysteries has always been what happened to the massive West Antarctic ice sheet during that last warm period? Well, a key clue comes from an octopus. No, I'm not kidding. By studying the DNA of octopus populations living on opposite sides of Antarctica, scientists figured out that at some point they must have been interbreeding. The only way that could have happened is if a seaway opened right through the continent, which means the West Antarctic ice sheet must have completely collapsed. So that history tells us what can happen, but to really feel the urgency today, we need to understand why it happens. We need to dig into the mechanisms behind these runaway ice sheets. The real danger lies in what are called feedback loops. These are runaway cycles that once they really get going are incredibly hard to stop. Over on the left, you see the problem in Greenland. As the ice melts, its surface actually gets lower, sinking it into warmer air, which, you guessed it, makes it melt even faster. Meanwhile, on the right, you have Antarctica. There, warmer ocean water is sneaking underneath the ice shelves, melting them from the bottom up. This can trigger an irreversible runaway collapse. And all of this, it leads us to the really tough question, right? Once these feedback loops get going, they're pretty much impossible to stop. So have we already gone beyond the tipping point? For years, we've all heard about the global goal, limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But here's the thing, that number might not be safe at all. In 2024, the planet already spent an entire year above that line. And new research is suggesting that even this level of warming could be enough to lock in several meters of catastrophic sea level rise over the long term. This could be the very step that takes us right off that cliff's edge. This metaphor just captures our situation perfectly. We know the danger is real. We don't know the exact moment a full-scale runaway melt will be triggered, But we do know that the longer we keep warming the planet, the longer we stay in this dark room, the more certain it becomes that we're going to find that monster.
So when you put all of this together, the science, the warnings from our past, it really brings us to a critical choice. Our actions, right now, are basically writing a tale of two very different future worlds.
On one side, you have a world we might actually be able to adapt to. Sea level rise is slower, it gives us time to build defenses, to plan for managed retreat from the coasts. But on the other side, you have a world we simply cannot adapt to. One defined by rapid, runaway sea level rise, where our defenses fail, forcing mass relocation and causing global disruption on a scale we can barely imagine.
So what's the simple message in all this? It's that there is no magic number where we're suddenly safe. Every single fraction of a degree of warming we can avoid matters. Whether we're talking about sea level rise or rainforests or permafrost, the consequences just keep getting worse with every little increase. Our actions today are deciding what we commit ourselves to for centuries to come. So ultimately, it all comes down to this. The decisions we make right now in this next decade are going to determine which of those two worlds our children and our grandchildren will inherit. The choice is ours.